Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again to Gary's Mod. And today, the map we're going to be exploring is GM Nightlight. And I am so excited for this map in particular because, well, look at it. Look at it and listen to it. All those ambient sounds in the background, owls, birds, distant dogs barking in yards at a threat we can't see, all underneath the glow of the sodium vapor lamps overhead. Shopping centers all closed down for the night, but with a few lights remaining on, making you wonder about the lives of the people who are still toiling away in there late into the night. Parking lots all empty, only sporadically dotted by a handful of remaining cars, which, academically probably belong to those same night workers, but as you pass by, staring into their darkened windshields, wondering if anyone's inside, you can't help but imagine shady hitmen waiting for their targets to pass by. That was not a good time to play the sound of something rustling behind me. Although I will admit that on my walks in the morning, I have oftentimes been scared by leaves blowing across the street or plastic bags in the wind. And actually, come to think of it, this is kind of a creepy image when I bring that up. Because this actually looks quite a lot like a shopping center near me that I sometimes walk to in the morning. I don't even have to speculate on what walking through something like this is like, since I do it almost every morning in the summer. See, I'm always faced with this question of, do I walk on the inside or the outside? And I'm going to spoil it right now and say I always walk on the inside, but basically the thought process is like this. If I walk on the inside, these barriers, while offering no real protection from any spookies which may be lurking in the darkness, makes it feel like I'm placing a barrier between myself and the outside. And having the more fluorescent light in here, well, it makes it feel brighter, makes it feel safer. Of course, once you're actually walking in it, you realize how much you probably stand out to anything in the dark. Makes it feel like you're almost in a cage rather than behind a wall, which I suppose is actually more accurate. Of course, what doesn't help is that in my variation of the shopping center, there's actually a Chuck E. Cheese somehow still in business. And when I walk past the windows, I have to look into the dark, and all the way in the back, imagine this goes way farther back, see that one animatronic Chucky just staring me down from the shadows. And this isn't much better. Look, we can see into that darkened back hallway. Can't make out many details, though. These windows are so dirty. And this is a common experience I also have every morning with the smaller shops. Walking by, just barely able from these lights to see what's by the windows themselves. Everything else falling back into shadow and not knowing if there's something staring back at me. Thank God for these establishments like the convenience stores, which remain open. But it seems like no one's working the register right now. And we don't even have the benefit of cheesy music playing over the speakers. This would probably make me feel even worse. Can't pick up that screen. Can we go in the back? Oh no. Okay, this is actually like advanced darkness. Forget that. Walking in the suburbs, you actually kind of take for granted having light around you at all times. All kinds of streetlights and businesses. But once you find a gulf of darkness, sometimes you don't even realize it until you've stepped inside. I was just thinking, actually, here's a question for the youngins. Does this evoke the creepy and comfy feelings for you? Does it evoke those feelings even if you grew up after sodium vapor lights kind of stopped being a thing in your area? Because I'm looking out at this and I'm thinking, this triggers those feelings for me. But then again, I've come to believe that a big part of our creepy and comfy associations actually have to do with the images that were present in our childhood. When we were getting all bundled up in bed and staring out the window when we couldn't sleep at night, I think the kinds of images that we saw when we were being driven home and nodding off in the back seat at night, that kind of thing, I believe, informs our views on that feeling. But maybe there's something more universal to it. I mean, these things certainly do provide a different atmosphere from the LEDs, because there's already been conversations about how people from different countries have different ideas about what actually constitutes a liminal space. Thus sort of actually confirming that the idea of a liminal space does seem to have some basis in memory or nostalgia. I wonder if the same can't be true for this sort of thing. And don't get me wrong, I'm definitely not saying there's not a lot of overlap there. But this in particular, it actually sort of reminds me of when I'd be in bed at night, staring out the window with the lamps, thinking I might have seen something start to appear at the edge of the light and then dip back into the darkness. And, both in dreams and daydreaming, I'd sometimes imagine, scaredy cat that I was, what it would be like if I was actually standing out there on the streets, maybe over by my elementary school several blocks down, and having to find my way home completely unaccompanied. Well, coming into the church is somewhat of a respite from the traffic noises. But then again, that doesn't help if the place is just straight up haunted. Anytime you were in church at night, it was always a surreal experience, both because it wasn't something that normally happened, and because it was just such a dark old building that it felt so much creepier to be there, especially since if you were there at night, it was probably for some, sort of non-church reason. Much more sparsely populated, there for some special event you didn't really want to be there for. Ooh, actually, now that I think about it, maybe that has something to do with it. Because when you're a kid, getting to go anywhere such as church or school or anything like that after dark was always kind of a special event. You'd probably be drowsy and tired, but also there was kind of an excitement at getting to go someplace you don't normally get to go at this time, see it in a different light. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's that pre-existing fear of the dark and old buildings and lonely spaces that are normally filled with people, but in an exciting context. I don't like the way that car is staring me down right now. But if I spend too much longer here, we'll never see the entire map. With the way these beams and boards have been creaking, this place really does feel kind of haunted. It was also an exciting / creepy thing when you got to explore around these public spaces a bit. I got to do quite a bit of this in the Boy Scouts. We would be left to our own devices for a while, walk around the back halls of the church or school, see the infrastructure that you don't normally get to see during the day. But when you'd realize you wandered a little far from the group, it was always a little bit creepy trying to make your way back, while also trying not to make too much noise with your own footsteps because you knew you'd scare yourself. Just me? Okay, maybe just me, but I'd like to think that it's more of a universal experience. Kill process. Okay, I was worried it would say kill something else, and that maybe that'd be like the last gotcha screen before something gets me. I don't like this place at all, and I feel like it's on purpose. Let's just leave and go back out onto the streets. Which, speaking of, this is almost starting to remind me of like an American version of GM Shambles. Not just for the lighting and visual style, but for, I guess not quite an implied apocalypse. This does seem to just be the scene of a regular accident, but nevertheless, it's weird to come upon. Now, when I'm exploring these maps and I tell these little anecdotes, I don't tell them for no reason. I tell them in the hope that you'll sort of connect with them in a way and be able to relate to them in your own experiences. Because one of the biggest praises that I've gotten on this channel is how I sort of put to words what a lot of people feel but always felt that they were the only ones. And so I think that a big part of the surge in popularity of creepy and comfy, of liminal spaces, and all kinds of things like this, analog horror and all that, is from that sort of unspoken shared nostalgia. These things that we all experienced, but were kind of alone in the experience of because, well, how would you even describe it to other people? I think that's a big part of why we find these images so satisfying, why we find such satisfaction in talking with others about it and sharing things that make us feel the same way. It's basically about finally getting to express something that we just haven't had the words to for our entire lives. And I think the same can be said, thanks to the internet, about a lot of different topics. In fact, I think a lot of the concepts that are popular now are really just things that have always been around, and people are excited to finally be able to sort of share. But it does seem that most of these structures are not enterable, which makes sense given the time of night. Now, I have no idea how large or small this map is actually going to be, but, man, I've gotten really introspective really early, and I kind of want to get a move on at this point. Just because we can, because I actually am so immersed that I briefly forgot this is a Gary's Mod map and I can do what I want. Let's check out this dark store. You know, I've explored a lot of abandoned places, but there's just something about having to use a flashlight in a perfectly fine, intact business. Made me real nervous thinking about what's behind the boxes momentarily. But it doesn't seem like this door opens. Okay. Yeah, I get the same feeling during power outages, having to navigate my house with a flashlight or a candle. I think I've told this story before on here, but during I think it was the '03 blackout, my house lost power for a while, and we had to do everything by candlelight. And then later that night, when the power finally came back on, I, at that point, was having so much fun that I actually insisted on turning the lights out and continuing to use the candles for a while longer. But the slowly rotating ceiling fan inside does suggest that someone inside is having their own lazy night, and we too can enter. Oh, it's not a house, it's actually commercial. What is happening with that door right there? Does that mean that there's going to be a wall behind this and we can't open it? Yep. Honestly, kind of a relief, because I have a lot of ground to cover. But maybe we can get upstairs somewhere? You heard that, right? Huh. I mean, this isn't an apocalyptic map, I have to keep reminding myself. But it's still really weird to enter an empty commercial space, able to hear people all around. The soundscapes on this map are actually really freaking me out more than anything else. Oh, I see. It's an apartment building. So then we can probably enter this one then, right? Yeah. Oh, now how's this for a chill spot? Oh, or maybe a hotel? Yeah, this is actually my kind of place. Small room, all it needs is a TV, although these days I'd probably be on the bed on my phone, but yeah, this is the perfect spot to chill. Dim lighting, just some of that orange glow making its way through the window. But we can be totally out of its view over here on the bed, only glancing over at it occasionally, staring at the car in the Dollar Tree parking lot. Oh, this is the kind of thing I love, especially when I'm on like vacation or something. Being able to just chill in the hotel room after a long day out and just kind of unwind in a way that I can't do in my own room for some reason. Once again, the trend continues of map creators choosing absolutely beautiful artwork for their map. Oh, almost like a lit window like you'd see on a darkened night street, but inside the building or the house on a clearly lit day. Although I suppose it's better than I thought at first, which was someone in a raincoat standing in the window of an abandoned house. I think my taste for this type of look developed from being driven home from my weekly after-school religion classes. A whole lot of orange lights on brick. But man, I just cannot get a feel for what this time of night is supposed to be. The clocks inside say 2-something a.m., and right now it certainly feels like it, but sometimes the traffic noises make it feel more like 9 or 10 o'clock, which would be more in line with my experiences. But it doesn't seem like any of this stuff is going to be enterable. That's kind of a strange building over there, isn't it? What could something like this be? Oh, it's just like a gray cube. And I always found these, like, lamps over doorways to be super ominous. Always a different color that stood out from everything else around it. Calling so much attention to these doors, making it feel like there's something that doesn't fit in behind it. Oh, it is so dark over here, down... Oh, it looks like these are more residential roads, where the streetlights are more sparse. Trebled times music. Nice pun. Last year, I really picked up my night walking habits. I would sometimes walk as much as 10 miles because I started like really trying to lose weight. And I started exploring like areas of my town and the neighboring towns that I just hadn't seen in this light before. And this reminds me so much of that. Being on edge, but still curious to see all these new places. And having to balance curiosity with, am I even allowed to be here? Sometimes when I'm walking at night, I'll hear a bunch of people up late, having fun inside, and just to break up the creepiness of being in an unfamiliar area after dark, be almost tempted to knock on the door and ask to join them. It's certainly tempting right here where, look, there's that darkness of the backyards, all those trees. But as I walk by, it makes me think I'll see a silhouette of a person standing there because of the lights in the background. All these ambient noises are really getting to me. And what's amazing is that this isn't even a horror map, it's pure atmosphere. I mean, it's nothing more than what I always used to experience myself, but in a way that I always told myself it would be like, really. Because I always, as a kid, wanted to go out and explore the streets. I guess on some level aware of that creepy and comfy feeling, but it wasn't until my late teens that I really started exploring my neighborhood at night. And by then, it was a lot more of an adventure. Then again, why would someone just drop their flashlight right here? Oh, I think I'm moving back in the direction of where I came from. I've gotten all turned around by those residential streets. Yeah, there's the church across the way and the shopping center. And every once in a while, distant traffic noises will sound a lot like some kind of demonic vocalization for just the briefest of moments. Alright, well, I guess if we've been turned around, we might as well keep heading this way, right? It's honestly kind of weird how much this looks like my hometown. It's almost like this map was made specifically for me. But then again, if you're American, this probably looks like a lot of people's hometown. And I think that gets back to what I was saying about so much of this being about shared experiences that have so far been left unvocalized, unshared. But then again, looking at all these cars, which all seem to be very deliberately chosen models, the sounds that have been chosen, and of course the lamps on display, I do have to wonder if this isn't maybe playing into the nostalgia side of it as well. But what is that down? Oh, oh. Well, there's all that traffic, but we're separated by an invisible wall. Almost like we're trapped in a little snow globe of someone's memories. Which is quite a lot of credit to give to a video game invisible wall. Yeah, in Source, you can always see that sort of shadow fall off, and then abrupt transition, where the skybox begins. So it seems like we can still explore this back area of the neighborhood to an extent, and it looks like we might even be able to enter that one house. You ever do this? Just kind of walk by someone's house and silently bop your head to whatever they're jamming to in there? Oh, I love getting that secondhand music from early morning partiers. You ever play the game of walking by someone's house? This is great now with all these huge screen TVs that people put in their living room and trying to figure out what's on the TV. Huh. Yeah, it looks like someone is preferring to do things by candlelight. A bit archaic, even if this is the 80s or 90s. Oh wow, it is quite dark in there indeed. Yet another car ominously peeking through a window. That is so close. That actually looks a lot like maybe we can even turn on the oven? No, I guess not. Let's check out the bedroom. My bedroom. My bedroom. The only thing that would kind of suck for me personally is these big uncovered windows right beside the bed. Oh, imagine lying here, seeing someone peer in. Perhaps worse yet, seeing someone peer in from the window of the house across the street. But candlelit, small, computer in the corner, ceiling fan overhead, this is everything I would need. Oh! And this is actually a really nice detail if intentional. There's no display on the alarm clock. Perhaps indicating that the power has gone out here. Well, okay, I just killed my own theory. I also really didn't want to open that door after all the sounds we've been hearing. Oh, but then again, my theory might be torpedoed that this is the 80s or 90s. Look at the screen. Which appears to have fallen over, actually. But then again, maybe I'm just a time traveler. Or maybe this is like the early 2000s, where something like this is a luxury, but maybe neighborhoods like this still exist. Hello, good looking. Whose eyes seem to have rolled back up into his head? Huh. There really are dangers to seeing your doppelganger, which I'm convinced is what you're actually looking at when you look in a mirror. But, yeah, as I was saying, I remember being at my uncle's wedding in 2003, and they had a plasma screen on the wall, and I was like, whoa, how can it look this good and be this flat? Lots of people playing music on this block. But I think we've about exhausted our avenues for exploration here. Oh, this is all so much more ominous, just seeing that flashlight on the ground, like the darkness just scooped someone up while they were trying to do their job. Oh, look at this. This is so underappreciated of a visual. The light diffused by the tree branches growing up around the streetlights, leaving this image that you see before you in the street. That dull sort of lighting that does light the way, but only just barely, and feels almost like the closest thing to real-life ambient light. Walking under the swaying branches with light pouring down from overhead. It really does make it feel like something could swoop down and grab you. This map is capturing so many of those just very specific feelings that, like I said, until the internet, just wouldn't be vocalized to anyone else. Oh, I've actually just realized a really cool detail. All the sounds of revelry and fun times are happening inside the house with all the cars parked in front, suggesting a lot of family and friends coming to visit. That is such an amazing attention to detail. I appreciate that so much. And here we got those houses that back right onto the convenience store. The ones that I would probably enjoy, but all tend to look like this, the college town look. These properties that are clearly rentals and not in the best of shape. Look, the big satellite dish just propped up on the front lawn. These are something you just don't see anymore, but I think they actually used to be considered like a luxury thing, right? If you had satellite? But there's a whole back area to the town that I've yet to see, so let's just try this door. Ooh. Wow, the way that light was set up, it made it look like this was a much deeper image than it actually was. I almost thought I was opening up onto some kind of backyard. But now this is a cool place to hang out. Couple of couches and chairs to chill out in front of the TV, watch some movies, play some Xbox, pizza on the counter. I'm actually not sure if I've ever directly talked about this before, but I do like it when in a social setting, there's distinct areas for different activities that have some sort of like psychological divider, such as this, but where you're still all in the same setting, where you can still all talk to each other. Now, can we turn on this TV? We cannot. Okay, so the lights are just here for flavor, which they do actually certainly add a lot of flavor. You know what this map is actually reminding me of a lot? This is the kind of thing that I didn't even know I missed it until I was in the situation again, in a rare opportunity. So, I have an aunt and uncle who live in New Jersey, and this one time in 2017, we went to see their son, my cousin, who was going to college in Chicago. So we went out there, had a good time, came back, and the night before my brother and I were to leave, we stayed at their house in New Jersey. And for that night, I stayed in my cousin's old room. Now, this room had just all wood furniture. It had no, TV, cable box, nothing. And so I was just sitting there in the dark, no electronics or anything that dot my room in the present. And I realized it was a kind of relaxing that I probably haven't felt since, early childhood. And I think all this imagery that this map is providing, it has a similar effect. It puts us back to that time when we weren't always connected, when we weren't as aware as we are now. I think a big part of Creepy and Comfy, in the nostalgic factor, is about bringing us back to a time when we were just worried about so much less. When everybody didn't know everything, when everybody wasn't as involved, even if they arguably should have been. But once again, we find the shelves pretty sparse. Although we could always survey the snack items that are available to us. I actually have no idea if any of these are real or not, but they're all similar to, but not exactly any kind of brands I've ever seen before. But coming into a 7-Eleven when you're driving somewhere at night, this is another Boy Scouts experience, like being on a camping trip and stopping in a convenience store. For some reason, just picking out a treat, even if it was something that might happen any other normal day, just felt so much more special. It wouldn't be a little suburban town in the early 2000s if not for the CVS over there. Open 24 hours a day. One of the few things that is still open 24 hours a day, which I really appreciate. I really hate all these sounds all around me. It's actually a lot worse than it is in real life for some reason. Like, I'm so much more tense than I usually am in the morning. Oh, you know what's another cool night destination? Dairy Barn. Does anybody remember Dairy Barn? I have no idea if they still exist, but I remember those times when I'd be in my pajamas with the feet. My mom would remember she needs creamer or milk or something for her coffee, and we got to go to Dairy Barn, which, if you don't know, is just like a drive-through for dairy products and such. We'd pull in under that dull blue light because there was always like an overhang, so you were like enclosed. The little window would open and a guy would hand you the milk. Although there was that one time when she accidentally rolled down the back window instead of the front, and the guy was like, "You just scared the crap out of me, ma'am," because he thought he was about to get drive-by'd. Oh my god! Okay. Sorry, people. I probably look like some kind of crazy homeless person trying to break in and murder you. Totally understandable. It's just, I had thought I was the last man on Earth. And it doesn't help that you're hanging out in the middle of the night in a closed-down salon or barber shop with your backs to a TV on the calibration screen. I'm actually going to get out of here. It's starting to look like you might be the crazy ones. Yeah, now I think we're getting more to the outskirts. Oh, look at those flags blowing in the breeze. I feel like the animations like that, the flags, the trees moving, coupled with the sounds to give it life, I feel like it just breathes so much more. It's little details like that that add so much life and personality to a map. But now we seem to be getting into the more industrial part of town, and the part that I don't have quite as much reference to relate to. Now that's kind of weird. Why is there just like one light glowing blue? Oh. And of course it has to be at the creepy old abandoned house at the edge of town. And of course that creepy old abandoned house at the edge of town has to have lights flickering inside. I also see something in the backyard. Let's check that out first. Oh, now we're really wandering into the dark for the first time. Oh, maybe it's just the hedge to the other street. Oh, there's a cellar. If the map creator were to have some kind of horror Easter egg, the Michael Myers house would be a place to do it, wouldn't it? Looks abandoned, but, well, not uninhabited. Candles here as well. A broken balcony. Perhaps suggesting that maybe somebody leaned on it too hard at some point. There is enough light to see, but I am not putting this flashlight down. Hello? Okay, I've never heard running footstep sounds before, so that makes it seem like this is maybe a little bit more deliberate. Maybe this is a job for the safety lock. I'm concerned by the fact that I haven't seen an entrance to that basement. There's a red glow coming from that room. A mattress here, look at that. The trees all grown over the windows. Overgrowth looks so much different from the inside, doesn't it? But it's like I can hear bottles rattling around in an adjacent room. Oh. One little candle in a cage. If someone were to pass by right now, I'd undoubtedly be the subject of a ghost story. Although, imagine... Shut up, mice. Although, imagine I'm in school the next day, super stoked that I went and checked out that spooky old house. I know that I had seen some classmates walking by on the street, and I'm sitting in lunch the next day, being all smug, not saying anything when they talk about having seen somebody up in the windows. Only I feel my stomach drop when they talk about seeing two figures in the window. That's blood. The implications here are horrifying. What might have happened here? Well, whatever it would be, it's probably long in the past, but they never bothered to even get rid of the bloodstains. Actually, I do have to wonder if we can't maybe break these boards. Oh, we can! We can! Okay, let's try it out. But remember, there is no interior access. 247. I didn't notice that before. 247. Imagine I go down there, die, respawn, and come back, and it now says 248. I hear you. Oh my... Was this cow brought down here as some kind of sacrifice? So were you, probably. But that whimpering is coming from behind this door. Okay, this map took a turn real quickly. We'll never have the satisfaction of knowing. But what does this X represent? Oh, looking back on this without the flashlight, just the glow of the candles. This is so much more than just some edgy kids. There's got to be something more to this, right? The whimpering, the X, the 247? But I've tried interacting with everything, and I have no idea what else it could be, and I don't like being here one bit. Let's go, 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 go. Please, if anybody has any ideas or knowledge on this, please let me know in the comments. After all this, after wandering around these streets for so long, after being built up by all these sounds, I'm truly, truly tense. I am going to have a long lie down after this, but I'm not even done yet. Oh, that dull glow just barely covering this yard. Sometimes just barely being able to see is worse than not being able to see at all. It's the kind of image that your eyes take a moment to adjust to it, and you start to wonder if maybe you haven't seen something. Although something I've started to become more aware of is that when you're creeped out on a night walk, a big part of it isn't thinking that you might have seen something. It's looking at an image before you and thinking, what if I saw something? Because that's the kind of thing that'll really play with your head. Muff Petrol. Is that supposed to be a play on Huff Petrol? Locked. Oh, you know what? Oh, I'd completely lost my sense of direction because I think we have... Whoa! I was gonna say we had once again gotten back to the shopping center, but it's... Oh. Oh, I probably could have seen that coming. I was about to say I thought I had maybe fallen into the back rooms or something. Oh, from my perspective, it felt like I had just fallen through the floor. Okay, well, let's see what's down here, I suppose. Oop, we're just finding secrets left and right. Although I suppose it's not too much of a secret. Ooh. Sewer access. But why? Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, it's an entire map made out of my worst fears. Are you kidding me? This map really was made for me. Forget about shared experiences. It's targeted. Oh, maybe this is all the plan of the hitman in that car. I don't know if you just heard that crack, but that was my knee. Been a long while since I played a map in VR that truly freaked me out, I have to say. We must prevail. 247. That looks like a vehicle carrying, like, a missile or something. Oh, I guess, ooh. I did not expect this level of interaction. Oh, that car appears to be tethered to the spot. I have no idea what's going on here, but there must be some greater lore to this map. Although, with that image, it sort of makes me think there must be some kind of, like, doomsday cult trying to bring about the end of the world. The things you find on your morning walks. Now to continue the exploration down this way. And this sort of throws all my timelines for a loop, doesn't it? Having an Amazon center right over here? I don't know when these things started coming around, but it was much later than I've been saying, right? I mean, I think they were only founded in like the late 90s, early 2000s. But in light of what we've just seen, Amazon Fund the End takes on a different meaning. Almost like it's not just satire. They're actually a tool of the cult we've been following. Couple of military vehicles and what looks to be a Russian flag in front of this barricaded house. This is a bit of an odd addition. It doesn't look like it has a 3D interior, though. Yeah, what a bizarre thing to just be here. Like, I don't know if this is supposed to be a reference to something or what. Oh, this actually looks enterable. I think this is back towards the area that we've been to. But, oh, downtown books. Okay, well, I guess I deserve a reward after everything I've been through tonight. Oh, seems like their inventory's been cleared out. They're either leaving or just coming in. And all they have right now are the magazines. But I do appreciate a nice little bookstore that has that coffee shop vibe despite its small size. Good place to sit down and read, maybe have a little chat. Even keep a conversation going with the cashier, the one employee here, while you're at it. Ooh, it's even got the whole thing going where the little back room is just like an incomplete wall that doesn't go all the way up to the ceiling. Sealed off, but still makes it feel like you're making the most of the space. Oh, look, I hadn't noticed this before. There's even a board strewn haphazardly over this little ditch next to the building. Kind of weird how the one place on the map there's NPCs, it's these two weird women just sitting in an empty barber shop. The green lighting in which makes it feel more like a torture chamber. But that was GM Nightlight. And it is everything I love in a Garry's Mod map. It is absolutely dripping with atmosphere, picking a very specific vibe, but one that is so relatable, I think, to so many people. And so it's doing the thing that, in my opinion, atmospheric Garry's Mod maps are best at. Using architecture, using lighting and sounds and all of these things to create a space that is emblematic of a feeling. Because I've always said that so much of actually reaching a viewer's feelings is about having a large number of small associations that allow you to place yourself into a setting. And this map has got that in spades. But of course, the creator is also having some fun with it. With all these Doomsday Easter eggs, there is so much else for you to see if you actually dig deeper and explore and get curious. And by having the basement be the way it is, I mean, it's setting things up so that it's not actually going to let you experience more than the surface level unless you take out your crowbar and start breaking stuff down. You got to be dedicated to get more than just the atmosphere. All in all, it's just a map that feels so inspired. I mean, you can tell that the creator is drawing from their own experiences, their own nostalgia, and wanted some way to externalize that. At least that's what it feels like. I mean, just because, look at this construction, it's all so specific. But I feel like it's a very simple map, and I'm just going to be retreading old ground if I try to break down too much in an outro. It's one of those things where you either relate to the feeling or you don't, and in my case, I certainly did. And this map did not disappoint. But if you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more creepy and comfy content. If you have any ideas for other videos you think I should do, the best place to suggest that will be at the Discord, which I will link in the description. If you want to support me on Patreon, that link will be in the description. If you want to try this map out for yourself, that link will be in the description. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Just as soon as I can call my mom to come pick me up. I do not like walking this area at night.